Ready? Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. The title of the talk today is one of the old titles, Stalingrad to Oakland. And the secondary title would be Oakland, Roots of Continuous Transformation. And there's a lot in the media today about Oakland, but what we want to do is crystallize Oakland as we see it. So, when we say Oakland and Roots of Continuous Transformation, we mean that Oakland was a very important city during the Civil Rights movement. As far as the West Coast city is concerned, then it evolved to being a premier city for black nationalism. The Black Panther Party for Self-Defense was formed in 1966. That's technically still in the Civil Rights era. But you can see how advanced it, because there was no public black nationalist group formed in the U.S. there were groups, but not for self-defense. We're going to talk a little bit about East Oakland Enterprises. And we've talked before about East Oakland Enterprises was a black enterprise zone. Now, you've heard about Martin Luther King's black enterprise zone that he was attempting to do in 1968 in Chicago. Many people historically might even have heard of Richard Nixon's black enterprise zones. In fact, out of everybody, Richard Nixon is the only one that suggested black enterprise zone. Of course, a little law and order to keep everybody dead in jail, or big doses of that. But black enterprise zone. So we're going to talk about East Oakland as a black enterprise zone. Many people don't know the significance that Oakland played as not only Black Panthers for self-defense, black nationalism, and black liberation, but also that Oakland was I would say, one of the only cities where there was a movement that was supporting the black movement. There was another black movement that was supporting the black movement. And nobody knows about it. Well, it's time to update people. And if you will wonder why there's so many things on the news and in the paper about Oakland. Oakland is only 400,000 people. It's really a medium-sized city. I mean, it's right smack in, why is all of this, what makes Oakland so important? I'm going to mention a few of those things as we go along. The first stage in the continuous transformation, or the roots of continuous transformation, what we mean to say today is that since those times in the 1960s, there's been an unbroken chain in Oakland, an evolution of the black nationalists, black liberation, civil rights, and Islam. The other cities have not had an unbroken chain. They might have been in and out, but they don't have an unbroken chain. And Oakland has, its chain is unbroken from the 60s up to today. The transformation We know Islam in Atlanta, but that might have kicked off during the 70s, right? So there's no unbroken chain from the Black National Movement, the Black Liberation Movement. Now, Imam Jamil serves as a personal link in that chain. His life, SNCC, right? Black Panther type, Minister of Self-Defense. BLA, Black Liberation. Islam. So Imam Jamil has a personal contact with each stage. Okay, but there's no whole city that has a personal contact and a continuous unbroken chain. And each one of those steps all contributed to the development, to human development in the United States. There was never a time when it was just totally one thing. I can give you a very good example. We saw in this, what was that movie, American Gangster, that they started, that was a serious cartel. They went to Southeast Asia. It was an East Coast struggle organization. When they went overseas, they dealt with Chiang Kai-shek's people. And they said that in the movie. Chiang Kai-shek, when they said in the Congress in 1950, Chiang Kai-shek is a son of a bitch, but he's our son of a bitch. In other words, that's our stooge against the communists. East Coast, let's look at it. It's clear, everybody sees it, but they don't know what's going on. East Coast, heroin. Purpose, money, and power. Right? West Coast, cocaine cartel, almost the same steps. One goes to Asia for heroin, one goes to South America. Cocaine, in those days cocaine was benign. It wasn't like crack is. So the good guys is going to establish a cocaine cartel, as simple as it is. That's West Coast. The people say that the West Coast cartel developed out of Oakland. Guaranteed. That they are some of the people almost newspaper worthy who went down. It was a study. This is known in Oakland. Who's gone down, who's come back, who's got rich overnight. That's Oakland. But the purpose of Oakland was black enterprise and support for the movement, black movement in exile. Another connection in Oakland. There's no other liberation organization or any other type of organization that left the United States and had a management group in exile, functional group in exile, except the Black Panther Party in Algeria, that had internet. So this one not only had international connections, it had a national affiliation. And the group that supported them most, and the leaders are still alive, took over the party after Eldridge, and there's some people here in New York who was there. In fact, it's only 2 or 3 people that's alive, so if you want to verify it, it's best to verify it now. because nobody's a teenager. But you got to remember, East Coast, gangsterism, heroin, Southeast Asia, personal power, and what have you. And no political nothing involved. West Coast, South America, cocaine, power, resources, money, black enterprise, and support for movement in exile. These are known facts. There's a difference between, see, people don't pay attention about why is Oakland so strategic. That was a black group in Oakland that came in like right after, all of you would know it if I mention the name. They came in fully organized, black socialism, da-da-da-da-da. You see out on the front of their thing, Kwame Nkrumah, Marcus Garvey, da-da-da-da-da, Malcolm X. It's a carbon copy of Black Panther Party. When the Black Panther Party is dying out, was knocked out. It's in Oakland. And they stayed there. They're right down the street from us. The minute Huey Newton was killed, the leadership packed up and went to where they are now. Other people didn't know it. I knew it from day one, who they was, why they was in Oakland. It's a long story. Civil rights, black nationalism, East Oakland enterprises. Remember what's so important about East Oakland enterprises. Is East Oakland enterprises brought wealth into East Oakland, brought wealth into Oakland. And that enterprise zone developed a group of young black people from 18 to 25 years old that own their own businesses and all of that. So it not only was, it was a functional enterprise zone that has worked, where none other has worked. You don't have nobody talking about no enterprise zone. And the black movement. And there was never no balance between the people were either revolutionary, shooting at the police, getting shot, going to exile, or they were black people getting money and getting rich and talking out of the side of their mouth. But there's only one city where there's a combination, where there's a balance of all of this. I'm saying that that's what we are, and that's what we've always have been. That's why we're talking about Oakland. We're saying this so people will get an idea of what's been going on in Oakland. The first thing we want to clarify is what we have been doing in Oakland is a planned exercise. We will be talking about what we intend to do in Oakland in a few minutes. But this is all planned. This has all been on the table all along. Okay, we have had a continuous struggle against the OPD, that's As-Sabiqun, Oakland Police Department and FBI. It's known. We've had a continuous struggle from the 1960s up till today. A successful struggle. What does that mean? That means out of all of the fighting that has been done. I know we say this and we don't want to be redundant, but everybody else that was hit by the Chicago Police Department, they killed Fred Hampton and Mark Clark. They just killed them and they disorientated the movement in Chicago. Panther 21, when they got all that fitna going, it discombobulated New York. With the attacks on the Panther Party in LA, and Seattle and all over, it destabilized the movement. Right? So everybody was hit by a government and they were unprepared, or they weren't built up enough to even know how to defend themselves against the system. Us is different. They hit us hard, but we were, let's call it, fortunate to have been raised under the system. And it was no, I would say now, absolutely, there is no chance of the United States government, the FBI, and especially the Oakland Police Department, defeating us. They don't have a chance. During these recent years, they never had a chance. The only opportunity was like in the late 60s and the early 70s. When they hit us in those days, it was new. It was, you had to work for it then. It wasn't no joke. Because the signs were everywhere. And everybody was willing to accept the white man's authority. I was saying it myself, and when I was saying to the brothers, man, the white man got me on the board. That means he got you on the chessboard. And it's evident what's going to happen. Well, I didn't say that. I said, oh, no. I said, no. I don't accept that I'm going to go down and lay down in the middle of the street and let the white man run over me. That's what we said from Oakland. And guess what? We survived it. That was the beauty of exile. That was the beauty.